All right. Post recap UFC 156. I didn't do a prediction video. I put my picks out on Twitter. Just didn't have the time to really do it. Really busy. But I will do, quick recap here because there's some things I want to talk about, and that's generally my thing. Is when I have something to say that isn't just this is what happened in the fight, I do a video. Just quick prelims. Francisco Rivera, Dustin Kimura both won. Dustin Kimura, nice ground game. Francisco Rivera, good heart, good power, etc. Isaac Levi Flag won a very close one against Eve Edwards. Bobby Green submitted Jacob Boltman. Just a quick thing on Bobby Green. I don't like Bobby Green. He talks like he's this amazing fighter prospect. Like, people need to take the King's advice, and kind of ignores that he's lost to David Mitchell and Tim Means, who are fringe UFC guys. So there you go. Tyron Woodley destroyed Jay Haran. I don't know what to say about Jay Haran. He really does have all the physical tools, but I don't know what the hell to say. It really doesn't matter. Evan Dunn beat Lisa Tebow in a really close fight. Onto the main card. Here's where I had stuff to say. Not much to say about Joseph Benavidez versus Ian McCall. Joe Benavidez went out there, did his thing, won the fight. Probably gets a rematch with Demetrius Johnson now. Just because, I look at the 125 division, it's like, who else can even name the division that's under UFC contract right now? You got Tim Elliott. You've got Sean Lineker. You've got, who's here from Formiga? You have John Moraga. And just none of these really are guys that you'd be like, oh my god, I'm so happy to see Demetrius Johnson versus insert name. And yeah, so it'll probably be one of these. Demi Maia, John Fitch. Congratulations to Maia. This fight solidified him as one of the top 170s in the division. Solidified him as a guy who, not yet, but would be a reasonably interesting fight for GSP in the near future. And a guy who I think can really be problems for anyone in the division, because what did it is his ability to take down John Fitch at will. We haven't seen that since GSP did it. No one else has. Mike Pierce had struggles with it, doing it. Sanchez, really anyone who fought Paulo Thiago had ridiculous problems with it. Admittedly, we haven't seen Fitch against a ton of really good wrestlers, and that's why I said Maia kind of has a step to go. Maybe a fight with Koscheck or something along those lines to really elevate him into a title shot situation. Even then, I think it'd be hard. You wouldn't really be able to sell it just because you have such a logjam. You have the winner of Johnny Hendricks, Ellenberger. That's got to be a title match right there. You have Diaz fighting for the title now. You have Rory McDonald, who people want to see fight GSP. Doesn't seem to particularly want to. And for a change, I'm actually in favor of the teammates fighting each other there. A lot of the times when they do the teammate fight each other junk, I've always been very against it, because, to be honest, a lot of the fights were horrendously predictable, and I never understood why people wanted to see Koscheck versus Fitch or Evans versus Jardine. I'm like, I know who I'm picking, and the fight's not even signed yet. It was easy. It was like, why would you force these two guys to fight when they don't want to fight each other and the fight's not interesting? Rory versus GSP is, but that's a tangent. Moving on. Now, welcome to 3 fights in a row where people fought stupid. Yay! Alistair Overeem, Bigfoot Silva. People have kind of exploded about this. They're ready to tear down Reem, talk about how he's not that good, talk about how, this proves that Kane's the best fighter in the UFC at heavyweight. And the way I say it is, none of this is true. In terms of who the best heavyweight in MMA is in the world, I think you have a 1A, a 1B, and a 1C. You don't have a 1. I think that Overeem can beat Kane. I think that Kane has proven he can beat JDS. JDS has proven he can beat Kane. I think that JDS versus Overeem, that's a very interesting fight in itself right there. I don't think there is a number 1 right now. I think there's some fights that have to happen. And what also bugs me is that a lot of the people who are talking about how this is, Reem's downfall or whatever, and these are Cain Velasquez fans who ignored it when he got knocked out by JDS really quickly and in a short amount of time. And they're ignoring that he beat up Antonio Bigfoot Silva for this whole fight until getting finished. And people will say, oh, this proves so much. No, it doesn't. This is heavyweight. You have 250-plus pound men throwing punches and kicks and knees and elbows at each other. A knockout is always possible. It's the one thing I like about the heavyweight division is that it is the most unpredictable division because of that factor. Because a knockout could come at any moment. So, people, stop being bandwagon idiots. However, my criticism for Reem was that you cannot clown in the heavyweight division, and he did. It was blatantly obvious that, he probably could have put Bigfoot away at some point during that fight. He could have taken Bigfoot a lot more seriously. He didn't respect Bigfoot's power, which I don't understand how you can do that against a man that big. Also, heavyweight matchmaking here, putting on my Joe Silva cap a bit. Not that, this is the only way you could go, but people are talking about who gets the title shot now, and I think the answer to that question just has to be Fabricio Werdum. Yes, I know Bigfoot's coming off the 2 bigger wins, and Travis Brown, and now Overeem. That being said, he has a loss to Werdum. It's a bit hard to justify it to me, and before that, losing to Cormier before coming to the UFC. I just think, as much as he's had that big wow factor, he's just that much behind Werdum in terms of a justifiable title shot. So I give the title shot to Werdum, do Cain Velasquez versus Werdum, put Bigfoot into a #1 contenders match, and here's where I'm going to get some heat against Roy Nelson. And people will be like, no, there's better options than Roy. Problem is, I don't think you can put JDS or Reem, or obviously you can't put Reem, but I don't think you can put JDS in the #1 contenders match because he needs to get a win. And I'm going to get to him in a moment. And I don't like this idea of you win one fight, you're back in a title shot, or you don't even want to fight and you're back in a title shot. We've seen that with the Frankie Edgar lightweight fight. I'm not interested. I'm just not interested in it. In a sport, I think you have to win to get back to where you were. And Nelson's the guy that comes to mind. I mean, his wins are over Matt Mitrione and Dave Herman, but when you really think about it, his gig on The Ultimate Fighter was supposed to get him and Shane Carwin exposure for those two to match up and possibly go on to a title fight. So I don't see a compelling reason to not go through with that. So do Bigfoot versus Nelson. You can call it a stepping stone match for Bigfoot and everything, and it probably is. But you do that fight, you have another #1 contender. What you do with Reem and JDS is you put them down in, I'm going to call it a showcase fight. They're not necessarily, squash matches or anything like that, but they're in there against guys who they can go out there, look reasonable against, and rebuild themselves back into a title shot situation. Guys who would fill this build are numerous. Stefan Struve, Travis Brown, Matt Mitrione, maybe not Mitrione because he lost to Nelson, but Chuck Congo, any one of those kind of up-and-comers in division. And then people are going to talk about Daniel Cormier, Frank Mir. Problem, and I don't mind throwing Cormier in there. The only thing that's kind of holding me from doing it is that he beat Bigfoot. But you could make it, if Cormier beats Frank Mir, or Frank Mir beats Cormier, you use that guy versus Bigfoot in a #1 contenders match. I think, that's possible. I don't mind it. That's my heavyweight spiel. And because you've ruined the idea that having the Strikeforce title really means anything, because you are not going to give Tarek Safadine an instant title shot. You're not giving Cormier one because he's fighting Frank Mir. You're not going to give. You're not giving Luke Rockhold one, so you can't justify that. Anyways, onwards. Little Nog beat Rashad Evans because, again, some stupidity. Rashad, you're fighting a guy who historically has had a problem when you put him on his back and you can control him, and your takedowns were clearly not a focal point. You went for some, but they were not in any way a focal point of your game. All I have to say to that is remember your goddamn roots, that you are a wrestler. And that's kind of my thing, where people are like, oh, boring fights, I don't want to see wrestlers. You know what? If wrestling is what got you to the party, go out there and damn well wrestle. Yeah. Aldo Edgar, the only dumb fighter that I'm going to throw in here that did win. And that was the fact that didn't throw enough leg kicks early on. He really didn't. They were clearly very effective, and he went away from them. And I don't understand that. Maybe he hurt his foot or something. It's always possible. But that was a strategic mistake. People are going to call for the instant rematch. I don't like that idea. I think that, like it or not, Edgar is now 0-1 at featherweight. He's never won at 145 pounds, and you want to give him a second title shot? No. Make him go down. Make him fight at least 2 fights. 1 fight to kind of establish himself in the division, and then 1 fight against the number 1 contender fight. Minimum. I have no doubt we'll see Edgar Aldo too, and I have no doubt that I will call for Edgar Aldo too. Not now. Down the road. Next title shot is Ricardo Lamas's. Sorry, Korean Zombie fans. Beating Cub Swanson, beating Eric Koch, and Hatsuhikoki, 2 of those who were supposed to basically get title shots. Versus, I have to quickly look up Chan Sung Jung's record. I know he's got the twister over Leonard Garcia, beat up a very old-looking Mark Hominick, and he beat Dustin Poirier. I'm sorry, it just does not add up to the same thing as what Lamas has done. That's it. He gets the title shot. If we have any respect for this thing being a sport, he gets the title shot. Please do that. Yes, Aldo will probably kill him, but legitimacy, people. Legitimacy. And then we complain the states won't let us in. Anyways, that's my